Good day, everyone, and welcome to another segment on my YouTube channel, Chief Business Heir, Javon Watson. That's who I am. I am the Chief Business Heir, Javon Watson. And this time, at this hour, we're going to talk about what is legacy. Now, you hear this word all the time. People throw this word around so much. What is legacy? I'm going to read something real quick. I just Googled this, right? Just to read the definition of legacy, and it says an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. Example would be my grandmother died and unexpectedly left me a small legacy. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, right? We're going to talk a little more into it. The second definition I love much better than the first: the long-lasting impact of particular events, actions, etc. that took place in the past or of a person's life. He left us a rich legacy of buildings that are both innovative architectural creations and genuine works of art. Now, it has the simile here as consequence, effect, outcome, upshot, spinoff, repercussion. That's weird. But we're gonna go back and we're just gonna talk about an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. That is what the United States of America, or other countries as well, I'm not familiar with those countries, just the US, have downsized legacy to be finance, financial security, not the right morals, principles, code of conduct, belief system, not with the, see, for one, we have to know what it's really saying here. An amount of money, what is the meaning of money? Money is a medium of exchange or property, asset left to someone in a will. This is considered a legacy. And that's fine. But now my definition of a legacy is, well, really I can't really sum it up into a definition, but I can actually express what a legacy is. And that is leading a rightful life, impacting other people. So leading a rightful life, meaning complying and abiding with the law, doing things to the right of spirit, nature, and so forth and so on, and doing well for others. Because ultimately, that is why we're here. We're here on earth to serve other people, be a useful service to other people, a blessing to other people. And it is very vital that we understand that that's a part of the legacy as well. When someone can look back and say, hey, you have the same qualities of your father or your mother, and these are somewhat former characteristics or traits, but they all fall in line with legacy. It's very vital to understand that someone can leave us a house or 10,000 or even 20,000 or even $20 million, and we're just, too hood, too ratchet, too out of control. We don't have the right presentation. We have no disciplines when it comes to it. Yeah, you left me what you call a legacy. I like to call that an inheritance. Or, an inheritance versus the legacy. When you gave me no leg to stand on. That's the first part of the legacy right there. What am I standing on? What is the foundation to what you, my parents, or my grandparents have left for me? Because legacy has vision, right? Where there is no vision, the people perish. For the lack of it, the people perish. So if I don't give you vision and I just leave you money, you're already dead. That's the thing about that. If I just leave you money or property with no vision for it, you're going to sell it, misuse it, mistreated, and they end up becoming somebody else's problem or asset now, and then you're going to diminish what I left you only because I didn't teach you the right way to carry it on. Now, most people don't know my story in depth, but I'm gonna just share a little bit with you. I'm not that involved in my kid's life, right? Because of some decisions I made a long time ago, where now I am keenly aware of how the foundation needs to be built in order to hold them. Would I love to be there in the household, looking at them every day, smiling at them, having some form of influence on them? Sure will, but I have nothing for your future. And most believe that your presence, good God, your presence will have more meaning and more impact than your absence. Now, what's weird here is when I was absent in the streets, nobody had a problem with it. God almighty. When I was doing the wrong stuff, nobody had a problem with my absence then. I can be gone all day long, standing in the streets of Richmond, doing things I have no business doing, and everybody cheering me on. But the moment I learned the true meaning of life, legacy, and the promises of God, and I pursue those, now he's absent. And he's absent now for no reason. And that gets into conditioning and systems and all of that type of stuff that we are, I want to say, forced to believe that is the correct way to live. And it is not. It is not the correct way to live at all. So now that I have the right way to live, the right way of living, how to lead a prosperous life, but laying the right foundation, I understand the principle of a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Now I am working for 3 generations. No generation before me worked for 3 generations in a positive direction as it pertains to legacy and living life right. No one did that. Every person before me, that's crazy as I'm thinking about it. Every person before me led a life, and we're gonna say they did the best that they could, but you gotta face it sometimes too. Sometimes the person's best end up being the worst for you, even if it was the best that they can do. And sometimes the best that you can do is just get out of the way, let somebody else come in and do something, even though it damages. That's another video. We'll get into that later. But right now, no one properly prepared the legacy for my children to stand on. So who's responsible for my children? You are. No. My father is. What? A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Right? So the fact that he doesn't have anything in line for me, he doesn't have anything in line for them. Right? So now I have to step in and put a legacy plan in place, which is more than money, which is more than time, which is more than efforts of investments and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of how life works. That's fine, but it's vision. Where do I see my kids, and why do I see them there? And I am to bring that vision down to my hands and explain it to them, not leaving them the option to go out and be whatever it is you want to be in the world. And that's one of the main reasons why we as a people or a unit or a family really don't have many legacies. Because I start a thing that no one else finishes. So now I'm not sure of this, but just let me look it up real quick, because it could have changed since the last time I looked at it last night. So let me just see who owns Walmart. I just want to check this out real quick. The Walton family owns Walmart through a combination of individual holdings and their holding company, Walton Enterprise. Now, I'm not the smartest man, but let me just go down the list real quick because it's pretty interesting. John T. Walton Estate Trust owns over 3 billion shares in Walmart, and Jim Alice and Rob Walton are the co-trustees. Sam Walton's heirs own over 45% of Walmart, including Sam's 3 children, Rob, Jim, and Alice, his daughter-in-law, Christy, and her sons, Lucas, plus Bud's 2 daughters, Ann and Nancy. Jim Walton, the largest shareholder of Walmart, owning 31 plus million shares worth around $2.1 billion. Now, that's a lot to break down, but I'm just going to jump right into it. So Sam Walton saw something. He raised who came from him, his seed, in the same exact thing. He prepared something for them, taught them exactly what it is. Now I'm just jumping to some things about him that I've read, that I've studied, that I've looked into, because when you become a legacy builder, you start structuring your life different to put all the pieces in place in order for legacy to last. It's almost like we don't have a legacy, will, trust, estate planning, corporation, limited liability company, partnership, B Corp, C Corp, S Corp, 501c3s, 507. We don't have these conversations at the dinner table. The first question we ask our kids when we sit down is, how was school? In other words, how was the system that was built to train you to work for the major corporations that have no estate plan for you? Now, good God. So, I love that I know now, but I also get upset about what I know. So, his 3 children, the plan that he placed in motion with what he built, the entity. Now I'm gonna go back real quick though, because this is pretty fascinating, right? What is the definition of legacy? An amount of money or property left to someone in a will. Now, I'm pretty sure we can address this in such a manner that we can state a business is a form of property. I'm pretty sure we can do that because we got some clever people out in the world that can make a definition be the definition of everything. The definition of one be the other way. And we're all entitled to our own opinion, interpretation, and perspective, but you can have the wrong perspective sometimes. Now, a legacy is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. An amount of money or property left to someone in a will. Let me go back here real quick and look at this. The Walton family owns Walmart through a combination of individual holdings and their holding company, Walton Enterprise. So first they have a combination of individual holdings, meaning there was something left or built for each of them individually, and then together in a enterprise called Walton Enterprise, a holding company called Walton Enterprise, they own collectively. That's the principle of multiplying yourself to multiply your money, to multiply your wealth, to multiply your wealth that multiplies your generations. That's a whole nother principle there. We'll talk about that some other time. Now, the family ownership includes John T. Walton Estate Trust. Now, hold on one second. Bear with me for a minute. We're going to get something here. Let me see. John T. Walton. So John T. Walton here is So John T. Walton was a son of Walmart founder Sam Walton. He used his multi-billion-dollar inheritance to lead a champion. Oh, excuse me. He used his inheritance to lead and champion some of the most effective educational reforms of the 21st century. Born and raised in with his brothers and sisters. Okay. Now it's crazy because so he was born rich. And I don't mean rich as in money. I mean, he was born rich because his parents had vision. And when his parents had vision, vision allows other people to partake or participate in what the other individual saw that would shape and form the world. I'm pretty sure you go to Walmart 4 times a day, or at least 4 times a week. I walk in there a few times to get what I need for myself and family. So I'm pretty sure, or some other supermarket or organization or business that is owned by someone else, that we contribute to their wealth, right? So now, let's just say a person, because we're talking about different forms of, according to the definition, legacy and amount of money or property left to someone in a will. You can work for that. You can work 60 years for a house and leave it to a son or a daughter, and they end up selling it. That don't mean, actually, that's exactly what that means. That means the legacy died then. If we tie the legacy into the property and into the money, that means the moment you let it go and you sell it, it dies. There's no legacy no more. And we don't have the 3-generation conversations from the grandma to the grandson to the great-grandson, so that the great-grandson sees the great-grandmother or the in her operations. That way we can envision and look at, okay, wow, I see how this thing works. What I find the most fascinating, amazing thing in the world is when I meet an attorney, okay? An attorney whose name is, and I'm not being funny, I'm not marking anyone, I'm not doing that. That is not what I'm doing. I'm giving you a real life example here when it says, my name is Lucas B. Thornton III, all right? Now, when you name somebody a second or a third, you naming them something with purpose, even if you didn't do it intentionally, right? There's something about walking in the shadow or in the image and likeness of a person, okay? In the image or likeness of a person, and live up to something that they put in place for you. And then they say something like, well, yeah, my grandfather was a lawyer. Oh, yeah. And then my father was a lawyer because, he studied under my grandfather. And then I studied under my grandfather and father. What do you hear in that? Wisdom, knowledge, experience, wealth of information, systems, processes. There's a number of things here. And the fact that we don't have the real conversation that true legacy, longevity, everlasting legacy comes from creating or inventing a product or a service that will outlive you, because a product or a service that is structured inside of an entity is the only thing that can outlive you, because it has, according to law, perpetual existence, meaning it will outlive you, your kids, when it's structured the right way. And for those of you who are familiar just a little bit with trust, so trust can be structured and last 100 to 200 to 500 years, all depending on who you have structure it and the way that you have it structured, because some trusts require you to have a certain dollar amount before you can even form that trust, own a certain amount of property before you can even form that trust, and then make people the beneficiaries. But I'm gonna go back real quick to this Sam Walton thing, because then he says here, John T. Walton Estate Trust owns over 3 billion shares in Walmart, and Jim, Alice, and Rob Walton are the co-trustees. So you're telling me this man raised up his children. I haven't spoken with him. I haven't had a conversation with him. I'm just going off of what I'm reading and, of course, my own interpretation. But because I am a master business developer, I can read between the lines or what actually took place, the likelihood of the scenario playing out that actually played out, and I'm probably 90% right, that these three children became trustees, co-trustees, meaning he made them all co-trustees of his estate, right? And they all must agree on the decisions to be made with the family's wealth, the father's wealth that was passed to them for as long as they live, and then they're going to equip their children to do the same thing. And of course, we know the trust buys up things. It owns 3 billion shares. That means money that comes, whether it's quarterly or annually, to the trust, allows them, the co-trustees, to buy up other property and invest in other vehicles or assets that move the family's wealth forward. So yes, it has something to do with money, but it has something to do with the system of money and understanding the role and the goal of money as you move through building your legacy. Legacy is not, well, I'm not going to say that because it could be to someone. So I don't want you to take that the wrong way. Working a 9-to-5 job to save $40,000 is fine because it's probably more than what someone else left to you. So I commend you on that. But when we talk about true everlasting legacy, I can mention the name Walter Disney, and you would just, if you've heard his name, you would automatically go to the thing that he built. I can mention the name Sam Walton, you would go to the thing he built. John D. Rockefeller, the thing that he built. Susan B. Anthony, the thing that she built. Madam C.J. Walker, the thing that she built, the thing that she founded, the thing that she started. We can even go into Dr. Martin Luther King and the thing that he movement, okay, that he participated in, or as some say, founded. And just even if I speak about a man who did not create a product, Ray Kroc, but founded 2 guys who didn't have a clue in what they were doing, right? And now, even when it comes down to Steve Jobs, we're talking about devices that we use, iPhones and iPads and iMacs and computers. You will forever know who these people are, even if they were not the best of character or the nicest person, because we have branded legacy to just only mean money and not the system that governs it or the minds that govern the system. And that's how we're able to do more for not just our communities and the people we love and the neighborhoods we want to clean up. But the moment you understand how it really works, you would then come down and say, wow. So all of this is wrong. And the thing about having children before it's time, I'm not saying that all things won't work together for good to those according to God's will and who love him. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the moment you realize that your life was out of order, you have to take the time to put things in order. So I can't participate as much as I want to in certain areas while I am working to get the foundation under you, even though you're already walking. See, some foundations were built before we got here. Oh man, that's another video there. That goes into slavery, oppression, and some other things that are taking place in families, in our DNA that we can look at. But right now, we're just gonna look at, let's just say your children were here before you even understood who you were. What legacy really is. How do I go back and put the foundation under something that requires me to meet a day-to-day need, a day-to-day level of expectancy? When everything is pulling on me, you have to break away. And some of us can't break away. But for those of us that can break away, listen to hear me well. My children's mother are going to be in a better position because of the decisions that I've decided to make to change my life. My children are going to be in a better position because of the decisions that I made to change my life. And I'm talking about decisions right now because I've just chosen a few of being homeless, lack of food, ability to pay bills. Then I will get into the character development and all of that. But right now, when those things are at the forefront of your mind, seeing legacy, seeing anything that's generational, other than the problems that you're suffering in and the drugs that people use to suppress these issues at times, you're not trying to hear anything anybody has to say. So someone has to go and build the foundation. And when it's time to go and build that foundation, listen, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to be called names. You're going to be all that. But let me tell you something about when you are implementing and executing on true legacy, it has to be some type of turbulence, some type of rocking or shaking that just kind of almost frightens you a little bit. Now, I don't speak a whole lot about that in my book, but I will in the next one about the perpetual existence of an entity that lasts beyond the entity, the human body, in what we're building. Because as a man, as a father, I have to look at, where do I see my family? Where do I see my children? Whether my children choose to partake in where I see them, I am instilling in that I see more in you than what people saw in me. And now, because of the fact that you were born, not saying accidentally, but again, like my last video, you were born at a time where your parents wasn't in the position to give you anything, okay, to feed you right. And I'm not talking about the physical food. I wasn't in a position to feed you right on why the projects weren't or aren't and still are not healthy for us to be raised in. And I understand it's a starting point. It's not a standpoint. I get all that. It's a program that helps move people forward. When people get stuck in the programs that we create, never mind. I'm not going down that path. But I have to teach my children now that the way that you was raised, and it's gonna look bad and sound bad, was wrong. What? What do you mean? It was wrong, sweetie. It was wrong, son. For one, right? Explain to me how my absence affected you. And then I want you to tell me, why do you believe I was absent? And then, see, when you walk them back and you give them the opportunity to think for themselves, quiet the noise, answer the questions, we can then start to rebuild the legacy that we want to happen the way it needs to happen, so that we now live according to what it says, that a good man, especially if you want to be a good man, leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And this inheritance is worth more than money, because when you, good gracious, I don't even know if it was Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos who said it, but one of them said they can lose all the money and go broke, but they keep the people. If they keep the people, they can do it all over again. Because the ultimate goal in life is to build up people so that they are confident in who they are, that you entrust them with your life and vice versa, and you're able to go out and be who you're called to be in the world. That's the thing there that's really vital, because we have a lot that we are scrolling through on Instagram, TikTok, and all this stuff, looking at that really, if you ask me, it's really pointless, because it doesn't give you the foundational work. When you study these men and women who and separate what happened in America on the bad side, just look at the business formations really quickly, right? When you look at how these entities came about, these men and women had a certain foundation to move upon, to build upon. And that is why it is everlasting, because when an entity forms, it gets a contract with the state in which it was formed in. And as long as it's renewed every year, that contract still stands. And then there's some other agreements as well that allows things, laws that allows things to stay the way that they are. And it gets deeper than that. It's very much so deeper than that. But legacy, again, is far more than money, even though we know what Google says. But the second definition, the long-lasting impact of a particular event, action, etc. that took place in the past or of a person's life. Now, that's more in line when you speak about legacy, there are a lot of companies screaming, we're going to give you legacy for your children. All they're saying is, we're going to give you a retirement. We're going to put some money in your bank account. And when money becomes the thing that you work for solely, you are driven by it. See, I work for vision. I used to work a lot for money, but I work for vision now. So vision will cause some things to fall off because money starts screaming louder, like it's needed. And we'll dig deeper into that later on because I'm out of time now, but I greatly appreciate you tuning in to my channel, Chief Business Heir, Javon Watson. Please, if you have the time, get on Amazon and get my book, Unfamiliar but Chartered Territory, The Beginner's Guide to the Entrepreneur Journey. And trust me, you are going to love this work of legacy, because this will teach my children, your children, and children's children for generations, not just about who I am and the way I think and the way I see business and the things I've endured in business and just what entrepreneurs face in business on a day-to-day basis, but it will give you insight. It will give you guidance. This is just what it will do. And I am grateful that God decided to birth this work of art through myself. Until next time, peace, love, blessings. If you need anything, go to my website. That's javonlwatson.com. Be sure to book your consultation. You want to talk business, you want to talk your estate plan, you want to join some of my workshops, some of my classes, that is where you would do all of that at. Or just follow me on social media, Chief Business Heir, Javon Watson on everything. And what's the last thing? Oh yeah, so if you want to get the free consultation, just order the book, follow the steps, send me a screenshot, and you'll get the free consultation, or at almost half off consultation. But you'll also get a work of art that's going to guide you as well. But I appreciate your time, and until next time, I'll see you on the Chief Business Heir Javon Watson YouTube channel, where we talk about life, family, business, and legacy. Thank you.